unstoppable power of facts. After 17 years of marriage, my wife kicked me out. 3 hours later, the sheriff knocked me. Name is Mark Ellison. I live, or used to live, in Dayton, Ohio, on a quiet street called Breerwood Drive. For 17 years, I was married to Susan. I worked as a facilities manager at a regional hospital, 12-hour shifts, sometimes 14 when machines broke down at 2 a.m. I came home smelling like machine oil, hospital disinfectant, and exhaustion. But I always came home. The house was modest, 2-story brick, small backyard, kitchen table that wobbled if you leaned on it too hard. I paid the mortgage, the utilities, the car insurance, everything. Susan worked part-time at a craft store, but most of the financial weight had always been on me. That was fine. I loved her, or at least I thought love meant carrying the load without complaint. Her daughter Kara was 32. She had never really accepted me as a stepfather. She moved in and out over the years. Boyfriends, failed jobs, short leases. But whenever things went wrong, she came back to the house. Susan always opened the door. I always tried to be kind. I fixed her car when the alternator died. I lent her money for a security deposit once. She never paid it back. I never asked. That night started like any other Tuesday. I pulled into the driveway around 8:40 p.m. Rain had just begun, soft, steady, the kind that makes streetlights look smeared. My boots were heavy with water. I opened the door and smelled chicken casserole. Susan had made it, one of the few dishes she still cooked. When she wanted to show things were normal. We ate at the wobbly table. She asked about my day. I told her the usual. Broken HVAC in the East Wing, administrator yelling about budgets. She nodded, half listening. Then the front door opened. Kara walked in, late as always. She smelled like fruity vape and cheap vanilla body spray. Her phone was already in her hand, thumb scrolling. She barely looked at me. She dropped her purse on the counter, kicked off her shoes, and headed toward the stairs. That's when her phone pinged. She froze. Her face changed, eyes wide, mouth open. She turned the screen towards Susan, angling it so I couldn't see. "Mom," she said, voice shaking. "Look at this." Susan stood up. I stayed seated, fork halfway to my mouth. Kara's voice got louder. "He's been in my accounts. Someone logged in from this house. There are messages, threatening messages. Look at the time stamps. He's unstable, Mom. He's dangerous." I put the fork down. "Kara, what are you talking about? I don't even know your passwords." She ignored me. She kept talking to Susan. "He's been stealing from me. The credit cards are maxed. The loan is overdue. He's trying to ruin me." Susan looked at me, not with doubt, with certainty. "Mark," she said quietly, "get out." I blinked. "Susan, get out." Her voice cracked on the second word. "You don't belong here anymore." 17 years. Holidays. Hospital visits when she had pneumonia. Nights I sat with her while she cried about her first husband leaving. All of it collapsed in one sentence. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I stood up slowly. I walked to the coat rack, put on my work jacket, still damp from the rain. I picked up my wallet and phone from the counter. Kara was crying now. Fake tears, I could tell from a mile away. Susan stood with her arms crossed, eyes hard. I opened the door. Cold air rushed in. I stepped outside. The door closed behind me with a soft click. I sat in my truck for 20 minutes, engine off, rain tapping the roof. Then I drove. No destination, just away. 3 hours later, around 2:15 a.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Mr. Ellison? This is Officer Tom Reynolds, Dayton PD. We got a welfare check request. Everything okay? I laughed once. Dry. Yeah, I'm fine. Just sitting in a parking lot behind the mall on Wilmington Pike. He asked if I felt threatened. I said no. He asked if I had threatened anyone. I said no. He asked where I was staying. I said I didn't know yet. Then he said something that changed everything. We ran the address you gave. The house on Breerwood Drive. It's in your name only. Warranty deed from 2012. Your wife's name isn't on it. Just wanted to confirm. I had forgotten. Years ago, when Susan filed for bankruptcy after her first marriage debt caught up, we kept the house in my name only. To protect it. To protect us. I never added her later. I never thought I'd need to. I thanked the officer. He told me to call if anything changed. I drove to my brother Ron's house. He's a retired union electrician. Lives alone since his wife passed. He opened the door in sweatpants and a faded Reds cap. Boots off. He said. I took them off. He handed me a mug of black coffee. Couch is yours, he said. No questions. No lectures. That night I couldn't sleep. I opened my laptop, logged into old email, searched deed, found the PDF from 2012. Mark A. Ellison, sole owner. Susan nowhere. I stared at the screen until the letters blurred. The next morning I called Diane Keller, attorney. Late 40s, short hair, handshake like steel. No makeup, no nonsense. She listened to the whole story without interrupting. When I finished, she leaned back. Mark, she said, don't call them. Don't text them. Don't drive by the house unless you have to. Document everything. And wait. Double quotes wait. That was the hardest part. I stayed at Ron's. Every day I drove past the house on my way to work. Susan's car in the driveway. Kara's car, the one I helped her buy, parked crooked on the lawn. Lights on late. Music thumping sometimes. I felt sick. Not angry yet. Just hollow. Diane ran a quiet credit pull. With my permission. That's when the truth started bleeding out. Kara had opened 3 store credit cards using my address. A phone installment plan. A personal loan. All tied to my house. Some were maxed out. Some were already in collections. The payments were late. If I came back and saw the mail, or if a collector called the house, the lie would collapse. So she made me the villain first. Preemptive strike. Susan never called that first week. Then a text came. We need to talk. I didn't answer. Another text 2 days later. This is getting ridiculous. I showed Diane. She smiled thinly. Keep them, she said. Screenshot everything. Neighbors started noticing. Mrs. Glattersmeyer, the old lady 3 houses down, texted Ron. They're having parties. Trash everywhere. Cars on the grass. Wonder where the money's coming from. I kept working. I kept quiet. Diane filed for exclusive occupancy. Court paperwork moves slow. Ohio courts always do. But it moved. Susan called once. Voice tight. Mark, we're short on money. Kara's stressed. Can you just send something? I said, talk to my lawyer. She hung up. Kara posted on social media. Selfies on the porch holding my old Nashville mug from 2010. Captions about toxic men and finally free. I screenshotted them all. Diane sent a formal letter. Warning. Final notice. Susan called again. Angry now. We need to meet. In person. This is crazy. I said. Everything goes through Diane. She cursed and hung up. The day came. Clear Ohio morning. 11:30 a.m. sun bright. No rain. Sheriff's cruiser pulled up slow. To deputies. Susan opened the door in jeans and a sweater. Kara behind her. Barefoot. Hair messy. Defiant. Neighbors watched. Curtains moved. Mrs. Gladys stood on her porch openly. Deputy handed the papers. Ma'am, this property is legally owned by Mark Ellison. Sole name on the deed. You are required to vacate immediately. Susan laughed once. Nervous. That's impossible. He's my husband. Deputy pointed to the paper. Doesn't matter. Your name isn't on the title. Kara started crying. He's unstable. He threatened me. Deputy wrote it down. Neutral. Didn't change anything. Susan looked past the deputy. She saw me standing on the sidewalk. Hands in pockets. She whispered, Mark, we can talk. Please. I stepped forward one pace. I didn't come to argue, I said. Voice steady. I came to take my life back. Mrs. Gladys called out loud enough for the whole block to hear. I always wondered how Kara afforded all that new stuff. Must have been nice having someone else's credit. The deputy looked up. Financial inquiries are pending on some accounts tied to this address. Susan pressed a hand to her mouth, eyes wide, understanding finally landing. I didn't go inside. I didn't need to. I watched the deputies leave. Then I got in my truck and drove away. Weeks passed. No explosions. No screaming matches. Diane handled the rest. Slow, boring, legal. I stayed with Ron a little longer. Then rented a one-bedroom apartment. Beige carpet. Parking lot view. Small balcony where I could drink coffee and hear birds instead of drama. 3 months after the sheriff, Susan texted. Kara moved in with her boyfriend. Apartment's tiny. Things are hard. Can we meet? Talk? I stared at the message. 17 years flashed. Thanksgivings, hospital visits, promises whispered at 3 a.m. I felt the old pull. Then I deleted it. No reply. I never answered. Today I wake up in silence. I go to work. I come home. I breathe. I learned something important. Silence isn't weakness. It's strategy. Loyalty doesn't mean erasing yourself. Love doesn't accept lies. And sometimes the strongest revenge isn't loud. It's simply walking away and letting the truth, the law, and time do the rest.